up by Kingsford Charcoal.
Crimson Tide fans have had the past 24 hours to get ready to tailgate at the Quad. Earlier tonight in the rain, they met up with the hotty-toddy Ole Miss crowd, who loves to say, we may not win every game, but we've never lost a party. If things stay the course for Bama, it's going to be a season full of moments to celebrate. Still, it's one step at a time in the SEC. Ole Miss and Alabama are ready to kick. We welcome you to ESPN College Football Finale as part of Tailgate Week, fired up by Kingsford Charcoal. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Bryant-Denny Stadium in Tuscaloosa, the #1 team in the country, looking to continue the run through the SEC as Alabama gets a visit from an improved Ole Miss team. Hi, everybody. Joe Tessitore alongside Matt Millen. #1 has been dominant this year. They're doing it with an offensive line that's just pushing everyone around.
Yeah, they're very impressive. In fact, when you watch this offensive line and defensive line, they're physical, they're disciplined. But Joe, offensive line, this group right here is the best in college football, and they rival some NFL teams. They do not make mistakes. They just win the battle, and they win it physically.
Ole Miss, of course, struggled a year ago. They made the coaching change. Hugh Freeze is there. He's got the hurry-up offense. They're scoring more points.
They are scoring points, and they're getting out on the edge, and they're going to have to do that here tonight. They have some people who can do that. Jeff Scott's a little running back they have. Not a real big guy, about $170, but he can fly. Put him in space, and he can make things happen. And then down the field, they have a legitimate guy, Dante Moncrief. Excellent at the top of his route. He has big play capability. They're going to need him here tonight.
Concerned with Bo Wallace, their starting quarterback. Health was an issue midweek. Jessica Mendoza is with us. She has more on that. Jess?
Thanks, Joe. I caught up with Hugh Freeze right before the game, and he told me that the shoulder injury Bo Wallace sustained last week versus Tulane is actually a deep bruise right above his collarbone on his throwing shoulder. He said that he was sore all week, and that Barry Brunetti and Randall Mackey will be able to go into the game a lot more tonight. I actually watched Bo right before the game, and 10 to 15 yards, guys, he was good. 25 yards, he cringed, and he had to shut it down. Freeze told me that if he takes one big hit tonight, it's definitely going to be something that will affect him and affect the rest of the running game.
Something to look for tonight with the health of Bo Wallace. Ole Miss putting up 36 points per game, facing an Alabama defense that's only given up 3 touchdowns on the year. Can Ole Miss break through against that defense? We will get the answer when we return to T-Town. Night in Tuscaloosa, under the lights at one of the grand cathedrals of college football. Ole Miss just 1-24 all-time here at Bryant-Denny. 3-time BCS title game winner Nick Saban told us the message this week: I won't allow this to be an I told you so game. Hugh Freeze come a long way to arrive as the head coach of Ole Miss. Arkansas State for a year, record-setting year there. Returned to Oxford previously. He was the recruiting coordinator at Ole Miss. Alabama won the toss, and they will receive. Christian Jones and D. Milner back deep for Alabama. And Nathan Noble, a walk-on, the kickoff duties for Ole Miss. It's a line drive that is fielded a yard in by Jones, who makes the decision to bring it out. And he tried to fight his way just beyond the 20-yard line, where he was tackled by Quintavious Burdett. Here is A.J. McCarron, the junior quarterback from Mobile. He's thrown 176 straight passes without an interception. Goes back to last season. He's just 15 attempts away from the school record. Expect to see plenty of this. Eddie Lacy, but not the result that we've seen in recent years as he stumbles down right near the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I'm anxious to watch. Look, this offensive line for Alabama is outstanding. So I'm anxious to see what they're going to do to counter this terrific running game of Alabama. Mississippi State's got to bring numbers down into the box.
Number 7.
Mississippi State, I'm sorry.
Center Barrett Jones, the Outland winner from a year ago. On second down, look at that Ole Miss front. Try to stop the run, and they do so indeed. Eddie Lacy going nowhere. The impact players for Bama, brought to you by Firestone.
Well, you already talked. You saw Eddie Lacy. He's physical. He's got good speed. He can make the plays. Chance Warmack, physical, athletic. He's good in space, as good as there is in this country. And Dee Milliner, a corner who has the whole game.
So many have raved about the improvement of A.J. McCarron. Such confidence heading into this year after his performance in the BCS title game. 3rd and 10 now, working out of the shotgun. Some pressure on McCarron. And that is complete. And it's going to be close to a first down. Look like they're marking it, DeAndrew White, as a 9-yard reception. So it'll be about a half-yard short there, as you see the official. Well, now that was a more generous spot once he put it down compared to where he put his foot. And they do advance the chains.
Well, I do like what Ole Miss was doing there defensively. They gave you numbers at the line of scrimmage on 1st and 2nd down, and then they brought pressure. One of the keys for them tonight is going to win on 1st down. They've got to get Alabama in long yardage situations.
1st down at the 32. Lacy now. And they've committed to try to stop Eddie Lacy early, as Martin and Gross inside tackles. The game plan for Alabama after all the film study it did this week.
Well,
here.
They've got to be able to dominate up front, and that speaks to the offensive line and also defensively. Then they have to be patient. Just take what is given to them, because if you start messing around with numbers, you have to give something up. And I think the most important down for Alabama is 1st down. If they can win 1st down and create second short yardage situations, 2nd and 3rd short yardage, they can dictate the pace.
See the medical staff tending to Bama's receiver, DeAndrew White. A couple touchdowns on the year for White. We'll take a break while they tend to him. It's the sophomore receiver taken off the field. Report we got from the sideline as they were looking at his right knee. McCarron on 2nd and 10. And he finds Kevin Norwood. Ball came loose at the end there as they fight for it at the bottom of the pile.
That's a nice fight going on under there.
One that you would have liked back in the day.
Yeah, they're still not giving up. That's what you like to see.
And it stays with Alabama.
McCarron's shown some patience here. He's getting nice protection. He's going to get that from this offensive line. And then good job defensively. Gimdichi with a nice hit right in the kisser. Oh, and they had an opportunity to get that. Alabama comes up with it.
Eddie Lacy recovered that. 3rd and 7 now. McCarron looking over his options, and what a big hit there. How about that from Cody Pruitt coming up and just meeting Christian Jones instantly, and it'll be a 4th down for Bama.
Mr. Jones meet Mr. Pruitt. Now this is excellent defense. Very patient. He reads that thing coming across, just sitting there, letting everything happen in front of you. Oh, that is just beautiful.
Cody Mandel on to punt. And the fair catch at the 20-yard line. It was Philander Moore. So Ole Miss 3-1 on the season. They've had better results offensively. You watched a lot of what Ole Miss is doing under Hugh Freeze. What did you come up with for their game plan tonight, Matt?
Well, what Ole Miss tries to do is try to make you use your athleticism. So what they have to be able to do is win that game, win the game in space. And then they have to somehow match the physicality of this Alabama defense, whether it's by scheme or by play. And then they have to make McCarron beat them. They can't let that offensive line dictate the pace of play.
Bo Wallace is getting an early taste of how loud this place can get. Jeff Scott going to test that short side of the field, and a good burst by Jeff Scott, finally run down by C.J. Mosley. And we heard from Jessica Mendoza just before kick the situation with Bo Wallace. He may be limited with some of his throws downfield. Been dealing with a sore shoulder this week. Sat out of practice midweek to give it a rest. There's a 6-yard run by Scott. 2nd and 4 now. Wallace, that was batted down at the line of scrimmage that time by Adrian Hubbard. Check in with Jessica.
Well, guys, DeAndre Wright just left in a cart. It is his right knee, and he will not return for the rest of the game.
He's the speed guy for that Bama offense. A couple of touchdowns on the year. Coach has been real happy with how he's grown into the season. 3rd and 4 now for Ole Miss. Jeff Scott flanking Wallace. As Wallace sprints to the near side, and it's incomplete as he was looking for Philander Moore. He was covered by D. Milner.
Milner's legit. That is a real live NFL corner.
Number 1 defensive back, according to Todd McShay, for next year's NFL draft is Milner.
Yeah, I don't know what Todd talks about, but I know this. When I watch the tape, he makes plays all over the field. He plays zone well. He plays man-to-man, and he will tackle you.
Jim Broadway on to punt. And D. Hart setting up shop back at the 32. And this is a short punt by the walk-on punter and fielded by Hart. Just over the 40-yard line. Bama back on offense when we return.
ESPN College Football Finale, brought to you by Kingsford's Tailgate Rivalries, where just 2 schools are left vying for the title of Best Tailgate. Go to ESPN.com/Kingsford to place your vote.
Truly one of the best tailgate spots in all of America. Bryant-Denny Stadium. That's what you took down yesterday, Millen.
Oh, boy.
Little Dreamland barbecue up there in Coach Saban's office. I won't announce everything else you ate, because I know your wife will get after you when you get home. Portion control is not one of your strengths.
Okay, I broke the rules. Sorry.
Broke them. Destroyed them. Alabama, 2nd offensive possession tonight. Here's McCarron now. And he dumps it to Eddie Lacy, a blocker in front, and Lacy is forced out that time. That was Sir Darius Bryant who took the angle on Eddie Lacy.
This Ole Miss defense getting after him pretty, they're not a great pass rushing team, but they do have some speed off the edge. They're not very big. They have to use movement to counter the size of Alabama's offensive line.
6 yards on that pass. 2nd and 4. There's Lacy, and a 1st down run right up the middle, and the spin move that he's known for. He's earned the nickname Circle Button, as in the controller on the Xbox that makes your player spin. You got to look at Circle Button right there.
Well, Circle Button hits it right here, and you can see when you're moving as an Ole Miss defender, they slanted, and sometimes when that happens, it's feast or famine. This time it's a feast by Lacy.
And this time he tests the middle of that Ole Miss defense again. Talked about the big matchup of the guys up front against that undersized Ole Miss defense.
Yeah, you can look at it, and the numbers speak for themselves, but when you add in the athleticism of this offensive line for Alabama versus this Ole Miss front, that's where the scales really tip, particularly on the left side. Quanjo 71, and inside at number 65, the big man. Warmack is legit.
Lacey on 2nd and 4, and that extra drive as Quanjo just took hold of him and forced the issue for another Bama first down.
I want you to take a look at number 65, Chance Warmack. Warmack is as good as it gets right there. You see that, man? He is physical, he is tough, he has great movement, he can hit in space, and the guy to the left of him, number 71, you see him moving the whole pile, that's as athletic a guy as you're going to find. But this guy right here, Chance Warmack, he's the real deal.
First down at 26. Lacey couldn't get past that first surge of defenders. Let's check in with Reese Davis. What's up, Reese?
Hello, Joe Test. Want to let you know what's going on with the Primetime Pulse on ESPN2. South Carolina establishing a reestablishing order after being down 17-7 to Kentucky. It's now 21-17. On ABC, Wisconsin's beating up on Nebraska, about to go to halftime. And LSU has reasserted itself, still just up 24-9 on the U against Towson.
Now, Reese, few folks down here were shaking their head, getting a look at that early score with LSU. TJ Yeldon checked into the game as they go empty on 2nd and 12. And this is complete now as McCarron was able to find his target that time. That was big Brian Vogler, the 6'7" tight end.
Vogler's a guy who can catch the ball pretty well. Williams, the other side, 89, is more of the blocker. But right now, what you see, A.J. McCarron benefits a lot from this offensive line because very rarely does he get a lot of pressure. So he has a chance to be able to see the field. And what this offensive line has done right now is they've widened their splits a little bit, and that gives them a little bit better angles, and it makes defensively Ole Miss have to be able to make a play athletically by themselves.
Here's Lacey on 3rd and 7. Can he get there? Upended and comes up short. That was Charles Sawyer, who's playing cornerback tonight, moved over from safety a week ago, who came up to make the tackle on Eddie Lacey.
Good patience by the defense. Take away the downfield throw and then force him to dump it off underneath and then make the tackle.
So Jeremy Shelley, who made a BCS record 5 field goals in the national championship game against LSU, comes on for this 38-yard attempt. Number 1 strikes first. 3-0, Bama early. When Alabama and Ole Miss played a year ago, Matt, Trent Richardson had one of his ultimate signature moments. The double juke on Sequins Golson, and then the score. That was replayed time and time again. Alabama won that game 52-7, and look who showed up here. Cleveland Browns running back Trent Richardson. They played Thursday, so he gets to come back to Tuscaloosa. We'll visit with him in just a moment. Field goal early by Alabama. Jalen Walton, Jeff Scott back to return for Ole Miss, the Cade Foster kick. And that'll go for a touchback. Jess.
Well, Trent, we just showed everybody that big juke play against Ole Miss last year. What do you remember from last year's game?
You know, just last year's game, it was a hard time for me because my auntie had just passed, and so for me I was out there playing with a lot of heat on my chest and stuff like that, and a lot of poise and a big purpose out there. And so I had scored 5 touchdowns that game, and they called one on back, and one of the biggest touchdowns I had in my whole football career was the one when I had juked the old boy and made him fall. So it was a lot of fun out there.
What do you feel is probably the biggest difference between this year's team and last year's team?
This year's team, they're young, and but they're coming along. And from last year's team, that we had a lot of leaders on the team. And so I told some of my players from last year that, one thing you got to do, man, is have that leadership. That's one thing that y'all going to be missing. And, like, y'all can, do the same thing that we did last year, but even better. But y'all going to take yourself as far as y'all want to.
Well, I'm sure they appreciate you coming back. Thanks a lot.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Trent Richardson, 222 yards rushing so far this year for the Browns. There's an incompletion on first down as Wallace was looking for Moncrief, and now Jeff Scott has nowhere to go that time as Trey DePriest was quick to find him.
You listen to Trent Richardson talk about the leadership, and there's some guys here who are developing that leadership. Leadership really comes from the inside of this group, and they have a young group. And that man right there, Nick Saban, he's preaching it all the time. But he has young, talented players, and a lot of them reside in that defensive front seven.
3rd and 11 now. Wallace with time. Now the pressure comes. He tries to step up away from it. Trying to survive it, spins, and gains a yard. Well, he made the most of it. As Clinton Dix and Xavier Dixon came up to finally find Bo Wallace.
Well, they're able to get a little bit of pressure with 4. And then he does his best. Trent Richardson trying to make as many Bama players miss as possible. Only picks up a yard.
Big leap from junior college a year ago to playing in front of this crowd in Tuscaloosa. Jim Broadway on to punt to D. Hart. And once again, not a good effort from Broadway.
Thank you very much.
Alabama will have great field position. They're still marking that one off. Gonna put it right at the 44. Oh, the memories of Trent Richardson. Bo Wallace trying to do his own little dance, but a 19-yard punt would come after that. Jeremy Shelley's 38-yard field goal is what we have on the scoreboard so far. 3-0, #1 team in the country here early at home. NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is at Dover, presented by GoDaddy.com. Coverage will begin Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Points leader is Jimmy Johnson as they head to the Monster Mile at Dover. Ole Miss offense has struggled mightily against that talented Bama defense, and now A.J. McCarron with good field position to start this drive with T.J. Yeldon, talented freshman in the backfield. McCarron, plenty of time, and a strike right over the middle to Kevin Norwood.
Norwood's the guy who moves the chains. Not their best, maybe he is their best route runner. But this is the guy, if you give him zones, he's going to find a hole. And you're going to find holes in this defense. That offensive line is giving A.J. McCarron all kinds of time to throw.
Consistency of Alabama, 32 straight quarters with a score. 18-yard reception by Norwood.
They're trying to clear out the box and see numbers. See, to go 3 outside, there's only 6 inside.
Here's Yeldon. And he tries to muscle his way for about 2.5 yards. Taken down by Gilbert Pena. Big anchor in the middle there. Goes 317 pounds, does the senior for Ole Miss.
Yeah, out of Yonkers, New York. He's a big physical guy inside, and he's really the only guy who has a physical presence. They need him to be an anchor and provide a point to be able to work off of that defense.
Yeldon stays in on 2nd and 7. He had 111 yards in that opening week victory against Michigan. Now he goes to the slot here as they go empty for McCarron. Pressure off the edge. Yeldon secures it, but then is taken down, in fact pushed back by Cody Pruitt.
That's a heck of a play by Pruitt. They brought the corner. They put Pruitt on an island all by himself. He had to make that tackle because they had a tackle coming inside out. Had he gotten the block, that was 6 quick. You're going to see they're going to bring this pressure. They put him on an island all by himself. And then they're going to bring, see that here comes the tight end out. If he gets that block, he's back up inside. That's 6 quick.
Lacey comes in for Yeldon now on 3rd and 4. Amari Cooper, true freshman, lined up to the near side. Another talented youngster for Alabama. McCarron. And he does find Cooper, but Cooper was going right along parallel with the line of scrimmage and is going to be well short of the line to make, and it was Pruitt again with the tackle.
Cody Pruitt has showed up here in an angry mood tonight. He has been taking some nice hits and sure tackles. And if you're going to play this Alabama team and you're one-on-one, you better be a sure tackler.
So Jeremy Shelley comes back on. He's off to a good start this year. 4 for 4 on his field goal attempts. This is from 38. He made from this distance earlier. And this is off the post and in. I'd rather be lucky than good. So the Ole Miss defense doesn't break, but nor does Shelley with his consistency. 6-0 Alabama. Glad you're with us. Joe Tessitore alongside Matt Millen. Jessica Mendoza down on the field. Been a long day of tailgating and getting ready for a little bit of a later kick for #1 Alabama. Bo Wallace, the Ole Miss quarterback, trying to catch his breath and catch up with the speed that this defense plays at.
That's what this defense for Alabama has done a good job of here tonight, is set the edge. This Mississippi team wants to get outside. They really aren't interested in running inside, but Bama has taken that edge away.
And another big boot by Cade Foster, and DeHendrick Collins will just take a knee. So what's the answer for Ole Miss offensively?
I think they still have to calm down, particularly their quarterback's got to calm himself down a little bit right now, because there are plays to be made. They're giving him half the field reads. He's just got to calm himself down and make the throws that are there.
Ole Miss just 6 yards on 6 plays. Bama a couple field goal drives. Going to keep it himself on the option, and Wallace dives ahead that time to the 30-yard line.
When you watch this Alabama defensive front, they are extremely disciplined. They do not make any mistakes. They let their linebackers flow free. Those down 4 people, they eat up all the blockers.
Jeff Scott nowhere to go. He was met by numerous defenders, including among them is Jeffrey Pagan, a good-looking sophomore.
Oh, he is. Pagan, they all kind of look the same to me, and they all do this very well. See how he squares the guy up, presses him with his hands. Everybody's the same way. They control their gaps, they're physical, and they disengage. That Pagan kid, he's going to be good, just a sophomore.
3rd and 5, 3 receivers to the near side for Bo Wallace and Ole Miss. Play clock down to 4 as he stepped forward that time. 3rd and 5. And he tried to muscle that ball, and a flag does come in as he was looking for Bia Allen.
Interference. 35 on the defense. Penalty. Spot where the foul occurred. Automatic first down.
Actually, Nico Johnson reads this thing the whole way. The tight end is coming down to him. He plays it right, inside out. Here's the tight end. He's going to come down inside. Nico Johnson, watch how he watch his eyes back inside to the quarterback, then to the tight end, then back out. That's actually pretty good defense.
They'll take a first down any way they can get it. This time Wallace gets it complete to the 39-yard line as he was able to find Dante McCreef, by far their most talented receiver, Moncrief.
That's the guy we talked about earlier. That's the guy they have to be able. He has big plays in him. Moncrief's the guy. He's all by himself on the top side. I'd work him.
2nd and 4, and a good run straight ahead by Jeff Scott to move the chains, tackled by Pagan.
When I tell you Jeff Scott's not a big man, he's about $170, soaking wet with a rock in his hand. There's not much to him, but he's got some make you miss to him.
No, he came in tonight with an 8.6 yards per carry average, has 4 100-yard games in his career. Going to go downfield and right into the arms of Moncrief, and that is good for a reception on the sideline. How about that? Down to the 24-yard line. The coverage came from the talented Dion Blue.
And Blue's on him. Now this is just a great throw. Blue in catch-up mode. Watch how he tracks that ball. Boy, that was beautiful by Moncrief.
And quickly they get it to Moore. And Moore spins inside the 20 to Lander Moore. So here comes Ole Miss, that hurry-up offense that Hugh Freeze has employed.
What he wants to be able to do is try to eliminate fresh people coming in and out. Now Alabama, right now they did bring some people in because Mississippi, they made a substitution. And so the rule states that if the offense does it, the defense also has to be able to do it.
Now they go with a loaded backfield as Randall Mackey, a former quarterback, comes into the game. And quickly diving ahead is Vince Sanders for a first down for Ole Miss. So now a little momentum, some confidence out of Bo Wallace.
That's the key. You just said it. Bo Wallace looks like he's got his short straight right now. He went to the left side and looked, and then right back to Sanders with a strike.
Option, Wallace keeps and gets to the 6-yard line.
He doesn't appear to give any kind of concern about that shoulder when he's taking off and running, and that's a good sign for Ole Miss.
First quarter is counting down, and they're hurrying up, running to the line of scrimmage to get off one more play. Jeff Scott darts ahead, and he's down to the 3-yard line.
So at the end of the quarter, it'll be 3rd and short.
How about this? Ole Miss knocking on the door against number 1 Alabama. ESPN College Football Finale, part of Tailgate Week, fired up by Kingsford Charcoal, the SEC on ESPN. Ole Miss has scored its most points through the first 4 games of the season since '03, trying to keep that pace with a good-looking drive by Hugh Freeze's bunch here against the number 1 team in the country. 3rd down and down to the goal line. It'll be 1st and goal Ole Miss, as Jeff Scott found a little crease against Saban's bunch.
He's a small guy, and that inside 3 are pretty big, and they like this hurry-up pace. All week long, Nick Saban had been talking to his offense and defense, but particularly this defense, about how fast the pace is. And he said, we can talk about it, we can practice fast, but we can't replicate it.
There's Scott, and he was tied up short. As we saw that replay, it was so close to the goal line on that last run. But this time, Jeffrey Pagan coming around and making the tackle.
Pagan came off the edge, and they're running right into the guts of this defense.
12th play of the drive. You don't get a lot of opportunities like this against Bama. Oh, Wallace stacked up.
Wallace made up his mind before anything. He made up his mind. Nico Johnson was sitting there waiting for him, and Dixon 47 on the outside. All he had to do was take a step up. Dixon would have come back inside, and the pitch was there.
Ryan Denny rocking. Defense has only given up 3 touchdowns on the year, and Hugh Freeze wants to talk things over.
Timeout, Ole Miss. First timeout of the half.
We will see if they can get the payoff. Bo Wallace couldn't find any room on the last play. Since trailing 3-zip against Tennessee last season, spanning 10 games, and now a 3rd and goal with the tip of the leather of the football cresting onto the 1-yard line for Ole Miss. Jeff Scott, touchdown Rebels. It's a good block that time by Jamal Mosley.
Big wide receiver is a big man. They came to the trip side. They used the 3-receiver side to be their blockers. This time, instead of coming inside, you get the big guard coming to the outside. Now watch Mosley. Just enough to be able to get Scott to sneak back inside.
Bryson Rose gives Ole Miss the lead over #1 Alabama. Gives us an opportunity to check in with Reese.
Joe, a couple undefeated teams in Jack Trice Stadium, Texas Tech and Iowa State. Red Raiders up by 1. Seth Dagey hits Eric Ward. 21-13, 2.5 to go. And remember, #1 total defense in the country statistically, Texas Tech.
They're off to a good start. Jeff Scott said he's the little guy. Made the most of it down there at the goal line, and Bo Wallace gained confidence on that 13-play drive to take a 7-6 lead. We invite you to get your NFL Sunday started off right. First, Sunday NFL Countdown at 10 a.m. on ESPN. Boomer and the gang will get you all the latest news and updates from stadiums around the league right up until kickoff. Then at 11, ESPN2, it is Fantasy Football Now with Robert Flores, Matthew Berry, and Tim Hasselbeck.
Tess, I think you hit the nail right on the head. I think Wallace's confidence just soared right there in that last series. You could see him starting to pick it up, and Hugh Freeze has doing a nice job of mixing his calls from going inside, which they didn't really do in the first 2 series in running, and then after he got the inside stuff going, he scored with the outside.
Nathan Noble kickoff. You saw Christian Jones and the All-American cornerback Dean Milner back for Bama. And it's a line drive that bounces at the 5. Christian Jones fields it. And Jones on the return. He picks up a block. Christian Jones. Could he? Yes! Touchdown, Alabama! "99-yard touchdown return."
You just saw one guy jump out of his lane. Once he jumped out of his lane and created a seam, and then he was gone, Joe.
Well, what was that about Alabama trailing in regulation? That didn't last long. 15 seconds is how long they trailed. Christian Jones, 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown.
ESPN College Football Finale, brought to you by Dove Men Plus Care. Be comfortable in your own skin.
A little soggy for the tailgate earlier, but it dried out. And now Bama heating up with some tremendous special teams. Back on top 13-7 after the 99-yard kickoff return by Christian Jones. Trent Richardson was the last Bama player to have a kickoff return for a touchdown. There he is. Did it back in 2010 against Duke.
Christian Jones, when that thing popped up in the air, you generally Not really thrilled about taking it, so he was thinking, I'm sorry, but hey, no, I'm not sorry. Gone.
Foster now. She's been showing that big leg all night long, and Walton takes a knee. Let's check in with Jessica Mendoza. Jess?
Well, Joe, you would never think Nick Saban would use the Florida Gators as a motivator for his team not to overlook Ole Miss. This week, he showed the promise speech that Tim Tebow gave his 2008 team exactly 4 years ago as a motivator to learn before. So his team would not have to make a speech like that after. Especially because Florida had just come off a national championship. They were undefeated. Very similar situation. You can tell with their response, they're a little motivated.
No doubt, Jess. Yeah, I thought it was funny when Nick said to us yesterday, man, he said the great motivator is pain and disappointment in life, and we don't have a lot of guys who've experienced any of that.
Yeah, count themselves lucky.
They trailed for 15 seconds tonight. Wallace flag is down as he swung it out to Logan. We will check, see if there was some motion there up front.
False start, 72, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Penn Wagers is our referee for this SEC game tonight. Hugh Freeze, first year at Ole Miss, had success at Arkansas State.
Please put 13:25 on the game clock. 13:25.
Bo Wallace, the quarterback, took an interesting route to become an SEC starter. Won a high school title in Tennessee. Went to Arkansas State, was redshirted, then went JUCO and won a national championship there at East Mississippi before arriving at Ole Miss and reuniting with Hugh Freeze. So they're backed up to a 1st and 15 now. Wallace able to sling it to Sanders. Sanders is taken down at the 24-yard line.
Joe, Dante Moncrief is the guy who I would get the ball in his hands, and I would move him around. When he comes down to this left side of the field, they put Milner on him, and that's a good matchup for Alabama. So if I was Ole Miss, I would move Moncrief around, having him even inside to be able to create some mismatches with your defensive people.
He had 144 yards against Texas a few weeks back. 2nd and 10. Play clock down to 3. Pressure off the edge, and they get to him. That was D. Milner and Adrian Hubbard coming in for the sack of Bo Wallace.
Yeah, Milner's legit, Joe. He can cover. The thing that you really love about him, he's got some ability to blitz, and you're going to watch it right here. Now, nobody touches him, redirect, and make the play.
Third and 15. Wallace now trying to extend the play. Launches it downfield, and that ball is intercepted by D. Milner.
And all that equity of confidence he had just a few minutes ago is gone. Milner took care of that.
6th interception of his career.
He's got, like I said earlier, they're kind of giving him half the field reads. And then when that's taken away, he's on the move. He never saw Milner. Not even close. He's sitting right in front of him. His mechanics were awful. He stepped to the side. That looked like a little bit of panic right there.
So on back-to-back plays, he goes half a sack and then an interception. D. Hart, number 1. You see him behind A.J. McCarron now at running back for the Tide. Play action, McCarron. And he dumps it off to D. Hart. Nice cut by Hart. And then he's able to get to the 22-yard line, so they will move the sticks. See Milner catching a breath there after the interception. How quickly things can turn Ole Miss with that long drive and that 1-point lead. And now all of a sudden Bama back in position. Hart. Look at the blocks out in front. And that was big Michael Williams trying to seal the way for the 5'9", 190-pound redshirt freshman.
Tess, what you really saw right there was that offensive line reestablishing the line of scrimmage. And remember, we talked on the inside of that Mississippi defense, big 99 Gilbert Pena. You're going to see him. He holds his point. See right there on 61? He held the point, but the rest of the defense was 3 yards down the field.
2nd and 4 now. Hart remains the lone back. Jay McCarron hasn't missed yet tonight. Escapes the rush there, lofts it up, and that is his first incompletion of the night. The initial pressure came from Trey Alston from that rover position.
His helmet came off, so now he has to leave for a play. But Alston right in the middle of that play, he had a potential sack, but D. Hart came over just at the end and tried to pick him off, and I think he got just enough of him for McCarron to set free.
Eddie Lacy checks in here on 3rd and 4. Lacy picks up the pressure, and that ball for Amari Cooper. That is incomplete.
He's going to the right guy.
Yeah, Cooper's a fine-looking true freshman.
Tess, you know we watch a ton of tape.
You be the judge there.
Ooh, I don't know if he had control of it, but watching Amari Cooper, that could be 6 right there.
Watch
Does
that
he have
foot.
control?
Then he lifts that left foot as he then secures the ball. So they do say that it was incomplete. But they are going to take a look at it. As Amari Cooper, a true freshman, a sensational athlete out of Miami, and he showed you some of that athleticism at the end of that play.
Well, just all the tape we watched, this is the guy. He doesn't even know how good he's going to be yet. I don't know if he had control when his left foot was down before he lifted it. But clearly watching him, he's got great speed. He's got great awareness as a receiver. I don't know if he has it all the way, Joe. That's a tough one to see right there.
Well, the call on the field is that he was not inbound, and they would need the indisputable video evidence to reverse the call to prove that call on the field as being incorrect. Replay official on this SEC crew is Mike McGinnis, but this is a name you better get used to in Amari Cooper, because he is expected to be the next great one at Alabama, already thought of as perhaps just on pure talent the most talented of this group. Very polished for a true freshman.
Yes, you know how I work with this stuff, and when I'm looking at this offense, there's 3 names that I had highlighted.
Well, you always say to me when I come and meet you at the football offices, hey, I've been watching tape for X amount of hours. I got a guy.
Yeah.
And Amari Cooper was your guy that stood out on film.
Receiver caught the pass, put his foot in the end zone. Therefore, touchdown.
They are saying it's a touchdown.
That's a great effort by Cooper. They're saying he had control with that before that foot came up, because you can watch this right here. I don't know if that's control. See, that's a hard one.
And they said that he crossed the plane there.
Yeah, you could see him cross the plane. I wasn't sure if he had controlled the ball when that foot was still in the ground.
Kind of one of those don't blink moments of the game. You watch a long drive from Ole Miss. It's 7-6. Kickoff return, quick strike McCarron, and Bama acting like Bama all the way. It's in Tuscaloosa. Alongside Matt Millen, I'm Joe Tessitore. Jessica Mendoza down on the field. Amari Cooper with the touchdown reception, initially ruled that he was out of bounds, and then The video evidence, according to the replay official Mike McGinnis, reversing that call. So Bama with 14 points in the last 2 minutes and 55 seconds. Bo Wallace anxiously awaits his turn to get back out there.
That second or third series when Bo Wallace came out, he calmed himself down and took this Ole Miss team down for a score. And that following series, a little bit of panic, so he's got to settle himself down again here.
Foster's kick, about 5 yards deep, goes for a touchback. Let's check in with Reese. What's up, RD?
What is up, Joe? Is SportsCenter right now brought to you by Discover Card on ABC. Wisconsin and Nebraska now a 10-point game, both wearing those throwback uniforms with giant letters on the front. All the better to help the kids with the alphabet. Taylor Martinez goes in for the touchdown. It's 27-17. And Geno Smith went off, set every school record known to man at West Virginia, tied a Big 12 record with 8 touchdown passes as West Virginia beat Baylor 70-63.
Geno Smith with one of the most impressive days you will ever see in a game completely void of any defense. But what I marvel at, Matt, is when I watch this game today, the 45 of 51, he was throwing the ball downfield.
Oh, no, he was chucking it all over the field, and 28 completions. You know, that is 20 touchdowns already. Heck, that's a season for most people.
In fact, you know, after this play, I want to discuss that in terms of Alabama history. As this is complete for a first down to Vince Sanders. So Geno Smith, 20 touchdowns already, and it's September. In the history of Alabama football, the greatest single season of touchdown passes thrown was 20 touchdown passes.
Amazing.
Greg McElroy a couple years ago. Just to put that into perspective. First down for Ole Miss. Wallace is going to launch it, and that is picked off by Robert Lester. And Lester returns past midfield, and now back-to-back interceptions as Ole Miss is claiming the ball came out there and they're fighting for it, but no, they say it is Bama's possession here.
He did get that ball out, but I believe he was out of bounds when the ball came out. Did we forget to mention about Robert Lester, one of the best safeties in all of college football? He does a great job of getting to spots. They try to double move on the top side. Nobody fell for it. Lester read it perfectly. Now watch at the end. He does get hit and the ball comes out, but I believe he's already out of bounds.
Jeff Scott who got after him.
First down, Alabama.
You hear the ruling on the field. It's the end of the play. Robert Lester a little slow to get up. There's Bo Wallace now with back-to-back interceptions thrown. Watch the end of the play here.
Yeah, so he's out of bounds right there.
And that's Jeff Scott, who quickly got to the ball. Made a great effort there, but they said no, he was out. We'll take a look at it. Watch Jeff Scott, the running back, come in at the last moment here.
His foot is out right there. They have to, no, he has the ball. He has the ball, but I believe Lester's foot is out of bounds when that ball comes out right there, and then the ball comes out, and then Scott gets the ball. And so I think looking at it, he'd have to run it back a little bit more. Scott has the ball, but I believe he was out of bounds before the ball came out.
It was an interception and a fumble out of bounds belonging to Alabama. The previous play is under further review.
So they're taking a look at it. Remember, ruling on the field is interception, fumble out of bounds, and Alabama would retain possession. And Robert Lester with the interception there. They say he's the old man of the secondary, the senior from Foley, Alabama. Had a big season a couple years ago, had 8 interceptions. Last year had 2. That's Pierce Burton, the right tackle, who strips him there. And then Jeff Scott tries to come in and secure the ball.
He had it
inbound.
Let's just see if he doesn't go out of bounds before the ball comes out. See, that's right there where the foot would be. That's what they have to determine. If that was still in bounds, then that's going to be Ole Miss's ball. But if his foot was out of bounds before the ball came out, then he's ruled out of bounds. And that right there, that step would have to be the one.
See that foot there?
Right there.
Let's zoom in on that.
Right there.
Remember, the advantage for Alabama here is that the ruling on the field is that he fumbled out of bounds. So they would need to have the indisputable video evidence to say otherwise to reverse this call.
Yeah, take a. The other part of this is watch Scott's feet at the end. The ball's in the air. Does he have control right there? And there's the foot. I believe he has control there. And the foot is in bounds.
Let's bring in our rules expert, Dave Kataya, the former Pac-12 head of officials. Dave, what do you see here?
As the original offensive ball carrier, does he step out of bounds before he loses possession? If he does, then the recovery is immaterial. If he doesn't, the defender appears to have at least 1 foot in bounds and control, so the ball would belong to him. Now, is there indisputable evidence? Not so far. It depends on what they see on that first shot, and if they can see a patch of green, keeping that offensive player in bounds.
So let's see if we have that patch of green. Dave, stay with us here, and you walk us through this. How would you, if you were the replay official, Dave, what would be your verdict?
At this point, take a look at this number 37, the ball carrier. Now, right now, can you tell if his foot's on that sideline? You really can't tell. So the ruling on the field is that he was out of bounds. Therefore, the ball's going to stay with the offense. I don't see indisputable evidence that that runner was not out of bounds. So, not able to change.
There was an interception, then a fumble. The Ole Miss player had possession of the ball in the field of play. Therefore, it will be a first down for Ole Miss at the 41-yard line.
How about that? They felt they did have the indisputable video evidence first on the first call regarding him being inbounds, and then Jeff Scott securing the ball. Dave, how do you think they came to that conclusion?
Well, I see the second part, and I happen to agree with him. The first part is, in my opinion, I do not clearly see that offensive player is still in bounds. I don't see the patch of green.
Thanks, Dave. That's Dave Kataya, our rules expert, former Pac-12 head of officials. So 2 turnovers on that play, an interception, and then the fumble by Robert Lester. So bottom line is this: first down, Ole Miss. Now Jeff Scott, who had the fumble recovery, and that time you go lateral against the pursuit of the Bama defense. Nothing good is going to come of it. Deion Blue with the tackle.
Yeah, you're not going to outrun Deion Blue to an edge. The one good thing that Alabama has, they have speed on the edges. So you're going to try to run outside. You're not going to win that battle. Blue's on one side, Milner's on the other side. And then both these defensive ends, they do a good job of getting inside out.
Randall Mackey is now lining up to take the direct snap. Now, he was the starting quarterback for 6 games last year, but he's been a running back this year. 2nd and 11. Mackey's going to keep it on the ground. A flag is down as Mackey spins forward, but we will check on the flag.
Holding, number 71. Offense, 10-yard penalty. Previous spot, remains 2nd down.
That's Pierce Burton, who on the previous play forced the fumble that was reviewed for so long after the interception.
The weird thing about that play was Mackey was long gone. He was already outside the pocket on his way up the field when that flag came out.
Bo Wallace is just an observer at this point, as they will stay with Randall Mackey, the 5'10" senior who moved to running back this year, but was a starting quarterback for 6 games last year. 2nd and 21. Mackey's going to launch it downfield, and this ball is picked off by Dion Blue.
That throw was pathetic. Wasn't even close. Dion Blue had perfect position, stayed on top of the route. It never had a chance unless they were going to run something as a comeback. But that's not the case. He tried to push it down the field. You're going to watch it up top here. And watch the position of Dion Blue. Watch how he's going to stay on top. Eyes are back inside. Perfect position. Now, unless you're running a comeback or something where he can anticipate a stop route or something, that ball should have never been thrown. Trying to get it to the right guy. Moncrief's the guy who can make some plays, but poor decision by Mackey.
By the way, take note of that shot you see of Mackey. He's wearing gloves. Remember, he's a running back, slot receiver, and then he switched over to quarterback and threw that ball with gloves on. And here's Amari Cooper showing you, Matt, a little bit of what you think is all his upside there.
Yeah, it's easy. You know, it's funny when you're watching film and you're just sitting there and guys just jump off the tape. And we saw, when we watched BYU, we saw Taysom Hill, we saw Williams. And then we watched Oregon and we saw Colt Loyola. And now here we are with this kid. You watch the tape and you go, whoa, who is that kid? And then he shows up and does it in the game.
Runs the first down for Bama. Eddie Lacy. And just a couple of yards that time as he was taken down by Joel Kite. And Denzel Kimdichie.
You know, for a small defensive front, they're getting after this Alabama offensive line pretty good. You know, every now and then they'll move the line of scrimmage the other way, but they're giving movement and they're slanting and doing those type things, and that's helping them.
Cameron Wiggum there. 255-pound defensive lineman. They're outsized against this tremendous offensive line of Bama, but they're moving well as Ole Miss's defense. Now they set up the screen of Lacy, a block in front, and another one. And then he dives ahead trying to get to that stick to make, and it looks like he's just about a half yard short. Well, C.J. Johnson. Flag is down there. Flag came in late on that play.
They're going to decline that one. Maybe lined up in a neutral zone or offsides. Yep, looks like an offsides.
Referee Penn Wagers having a very busy night. We had breakfast with Penn this morning. He said, I hope you don't mention me much. It's been a big part of this first half.
Yeah, he's a good man. I had the great opportunity to be able to spend some time.
1 on the defense. Penalty. Decline. 3rd down.
With these SEC officials this offseason. I love working with the officials. And, oh, by the way, it's great to have our NFL officials back.
I think everybody across the country agrees with that. TJ Yeldon. Plenty of room for Yeldon. And an easy first down. A.J. McCarron, we told you that streak he came into this game with. Started the night with 176 straight passes without an interception going back to last season. Thrown 14 times, so he ties the school record of that streak without throwing a pick. TJ Yeldon stays in. And here's Yeldon. And he quickly hops and skips over a would-be tackler and then darts out. TJ Yeldon is, you know, everybody wants to anoint TJ Yeldon as the next in line of the Ingrams and the Richardsons, but Nick Saban told us yesterday, listen, still needs to learn a bit, the pass protection, some of the other nuances of this offense, but athletically, strength, power, speed, as gifted as anybody who's come through this early in his career.
The guy sitting on the bench, Kenyon Drake, that they just gush about.
Home run hitter. May see him later tonight. McCarron. And Brent Callaway is the target, so A.J. McCarron now 15 attempts, and that sets the mark in Alabama history of consecutive passes thrown without an interception.
One thing they don't do, this Alabama team, they don't really push the ball down the field. It's not like they're stretching this thing at all. There's a lot of underneath throws and crossing routes underneath. And so Nick Saban knows what McCarron can do, what he's comfortable with, and that's what they give him.
Guy who doesn't throw interceptions and a defense that gets plenty of them. Bama defense interceptions on 3 of the last 4 plays. Eddie Lacy, a little cutback and another first down for Alabama. I'm going to announce that next week College Game Day is going to be at a great one. Columbia, South Carolina, big battle in the SEC East. Georgia and South Carolina. College Game Day built by the Home Depot down in Kakalaki for an SEC battle. Georgia was in a thriller today. Spurrier and the gang will be waiting on those freshman running backs. And that is being ruled an incompletion as it was thrown well behind into the outside of Amari Cooper after the pressure came from E.J. Epperson.
Tyler Bray at Tennessee, they hung all kinds of points on that Georgia defense. And they've got all their people back right now.
Isn't that funny? After all the suspensions and Georgia gets their All-Americans back and the defense is there and Tennessee puts up big points. Meanwhile, South Carolina outscored Kentucky 31-zip in the second half. They ended up winning that game 38-17. So that'll be the home of game day. Chris Fowler in the game will be at South Carolina next week for that SEC East showdown. Amari Cooper, quick move, and then keeps his balance just inside the 20. There will be 3rd and about 4.
Pendleton missed a tackle, and I was just about to say the one thing that this Ole Miss defense has been doing pretty good has been tackling in space. And then Pendleton has this opportunity right here, and Cooper just gives him the limp leg right there.
Little cut back to the inside. And Eddie Lacy will flank A.J. McCarron here on 3rd and 4. First down to the 13-yard line as once again he looks Cooper's way.
Now, Cooper's one of the young players that has a huge future in front of him, but this left tackle, Cyrus Kwanjo, that's as good a left tackle as I've seen. Now, he's just a pup, number 71. He's like one of those big puppies you get, and then you know he's going to grow into himself. Well, this kid right here, he is outstanding. He will be a high pick. He is athletic. He's physical. He's everything you want. He just needs a little bit of experience.
He was one of the biggest recruits in recent years. And he's on that tremendous offensive line, learning from some of the best. T.J. Yeldon still pushing ahead to the 10-yard line. He was tackled by C.J. Johnson. A little undersized to play the defensive line, but he's fast enough and gritty enough to line him up anywhere, number 10 for Ole Miss. By far their most active defensive player, and he's dropping off here on 2nd and 8.
Yeah, he's the one guy who could provide a real pass rush. And I thought he'd be lined up on Fluker to try to beat him off the edge. But I got to tell you, Alabama is getting rid of the ball so quick. They're not pushing the ball down the field. A lot of short underneath routes. So the ball's coming out fast.
Yeldon to the top of your screen. Goes nowhere that time. T.J. Yeldon taken down at the 12-yard line by Denzel Kimdichie. Speaking of top recruits, the little brother, Denzel's little brother, Robert Kimdichie, the #1 recruit in the country.
Yeah, Kimdichie, not a big guy. I'll tell you what, though, he's a tough guy. Just 190 pounds, just a freshman. They have him lined up in the middle sometimes. He's taking on 300-pounders, and he doesn't. I mean, he'll just throw his whole self in there.
Little brother is he's got some blood coming from his nose there. Little brother verbal to Clemson. Everybody in the SEC's been after him. So 3rd down here, 3rd and 10. They've converted their last 4 third downs. Here's McCarron. Look at the time he has to the end zone. And that's a touchdown. Amari Cooper does it again.
Test, that was all Cooper. Worked the back of the end zone. The defender was on him. You're going to watch this. He just kind of buys time. See Cooper sitting right back there. That's Crawford, number 5. See how Cooper goes up and goes over him? This kid's legit.
And watch as the year goes on, as Cooper plays a bigger and bigger role for the Tide. They are a-rolling in T-Town. A.J. McCarron taking his time and finding the true freshman from South Florida. #1 team in the country. Amari Cooper's 2nd touchdown reception of the night just moments ago. Coach's Trophy presented by Dr. Pepper, of course, will be awarded to the winner of the Discover BCS National Championship game. ESPN Monday, January 7th. Be an 8:30 kick from Sun Life Stadium. Folks down here feel like this young freshman could help them get a return visit to that game.
Joe, some things you can teach, like how to run the routes, and some things you just have. When you're born, you have it. And Amari Cooper, what he just did right there, you can't teach.
He was dealing with a foot injury earlier this year. He's at 100% health, and he is going to be a nightmare for opposing defensive coordinators, because you deal with the big offensive line and the power run game, and then the play action comes into play, and a guy like Cooper, so dangerous downfield and an easy target for A.J. McCarron. Big boot of Cade Foster. 27-7. Remember, Ole Miss had the lead for 15 seconds, Reese Davis.
It didn't last long, Joe. I tell you, leads didn't hold up for long in the West Virginia-Baylor game today because Geno Smith took care of all kinds of business. We'll show you his historic day. Texas and Oklahoma State are going back and forth in a great one in Stillwater. We'll get you up to date on that. And also a Big Ten battle in Lincoln that is eerily reminiscent of one last year. Nebraska's doing to Wisconsin what they did to Ohio State last year with a big comeback.
All right, Reese, we've got Barry Brunetti coming into the game to play quarterback now. Got some reps with the first team this week. Remember, Bo Wallace was dealing with that sore shoulder. Now Brunetti is more capable as a running quarterback. And Wallace, helmet just resting on top of his head as he watches Jeff Scott. Is able to get it out to the 31-yard line, tackled by Vinny Sansiri. A couple of interceptions thrown by Bo Wallace. Remember, Randall Mackey threw the other interception. Brunetti now quickly swings it out to Logan.
Vinny Sansiri right in the middle of that. They're going with this hurry-up offense. You know, when you watch that, Vinny Sansiri's a good player. He's got
Dad
really...
Sal, of course, a former assistant here and the defensive coordinator now at Tennessee.
Yeah, but great instincts. Great instincts. You can't teach. He has them.
And this will be a run for a first down by Jeff Scott. Ole Miss's head must be spinning as Hugh Freeze saw his team have that long sustained drive and gain some confidence. And Alabama just opened up. Brunetti now takes a shot downfield, and that was almost another interception as Dean Milner went up for it. But Clinton Dix was getting after it as well.
Yeah, Hugh Freeze is not pleased, and he shouldn't be, because watch, you're going to see Moncrief. Moncrief's on top of him. Now, if you just throw that ball out there, you've got a chance. This is the third underthrown ball. Clinton Dix was right there, number 6. But Dean Milner's been playing a heck of a game.
Hugh Freeze, a little bit of frustration.
He wanted a flag there.
Coming up on the final half minute here, the half, and that's incomplete as he was looking for Jeff Scott, and the pressure came from the senior end, Damian Square, most experienced player on that defensive line for Alabama.
And one of the things that this defensive front of Alabama does a great job of is they're interchangeable. You'll see them lined up as a defensive end, a defensive tackle, then back outside. They can rush. They're not great pass rushers, but they get pushed inside.
3rd and 10. Brunetti just going to swing it to Scott out of the backfield, and that'll leave 25 seconds in the first half. Trey DeVries forced out Jeff Scott.
If there's one thing, Tess, that this Alabama defense doesn't have, it's a big-time pass rusher. They're pretty good, but they don't have that guy who can just get up the field and 2 steps full speed, run on his inside half. They don't have that guy.
Hoping that Adrian Hubbard, the sophomore, develops into that. He gets the look of it at 6'6", 248, but obviously Dante Hightower and Courtney Upshaw and all the talent from a year ago off to the NFL. Jim Broadway with a big punt here. It'll go for a touchback. 61-yard punt by Broadway. Alabama responded after trailing 7-6. Christian Jones had the 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, and then that was reversed, and Amari Cooper, his first touchdown, then his second touchdown. And A.J. McCarron in this offense, they just keep rolling along. Turnovers by Ole Miss have been costly. 2 interceptions thrown by Wallace, and then another thrown by Randall Mackey. And McCarron 17 of 19. You juxtapose this guy, A.J. McCarron, with Geno Smith. Geno Smith, the big stat guy. McCarron steady, manages things, doesn't make mistakes, takes what's in front of him. As T.J. Yeldon looks to run out the clock here in a first half that, for a moment, Ole Miss had hope, had the lead. Broke that stretch of dominance by Alabama. Always having the lead in regulation going back to last year's game against Tennessee. But oh boy, did the tide roll. Let's check in with Jessica.
Well, thanks, Joe. Coach, some missed opportunities, 3 turnovers. What adjustments do your quarterbacks need to make offensively?
They're greedy. We don't have to take shots. If we can stay on schedule and get some drives going to keep our defense off the field, and we just, we've been totally greedy. All 3 of them have, and it's my fault. I got to do a better job coaching them. But it's frustrating. Our kids are playing extremely hard. Kickoff return killed our momentum. We go down and drive and get a score to go ahead. Good teams, just don't do that. We got to mature. We got to play better. We'll play the second half. We're going to compete.
All right, thanks a lot, Coach.
Thank you.
Got to find a way to try to slow Cooper. Amari Cooper, 6 catches, 2 touchdowns for Alabama, and a 20-point lead for the Tide. Now, let's join Reese Davis, Mark May, and Lou Holtz back in the studio for the college football halftime report. Gentlemen.
Welcome back to Tailgate Week, fired up by Kingsford Charcoal.
College football finale, part of Tailgate Week, fired up by Kingsford Charcoal, the SEC on ESPN. 27-7, the #1 team in the country in control against Ole Miss, who had a moment. And then Alabama responded with the kickoff return. A.J. McCarron, 17 of 19, because he's getting that protection from that big, talented offensive line.
Well, we talked about that offensive line at the start of the game, and they don't disappoint. And really, if you watch A.J. McCarron, he's had time to read Warren Peace back there at times and be able to find his receivers and throw with ease. He's not been under pressure at all. And then they've been able to generate some running game as well. But A.J. McCarron is definitely benefiting from that offensive line.
Finding Amari Cooper for 6 catches and 2 touchdowns in that first half. And there is Steen and the bunch. You see Chance Warmack, one of the big NFL prospects. Todd McShay says he's the #1 offensive line prospect heading in to next year's NFL draft. And A.J. McCarron, who extends that streak of passes without an interception thrown, steady and consistent. Cade Foster kickoff to start the second half. And Walton and Mackey deep for the return, but it's another big kick that'll go for a touchback. Earlier, Jessica Mendoza caught up with Coach Saban.
Coach, you told me how you showed your team Tim Tebow's speech this week to avoid any kind of upset against Ole Miss. How do you assess your team so far this first half?
Well, we really don't have control of the game. You know, we made some big plays. We got some turnovers defensively, but, you know, offensively we had one good drive, but we really need to get control of the game. You know, they're doing a great job. They're playing hard. They're hitting really well. So, you know, we just got to do a better job of controlling the game. They're going to get the ball first. It's going to be an important first series.
Jessica making reference to the famous Tebow speech 4 years ago this week when Florida was upset by Ole Miss, and he gave that "I promise" speech. Saban wanted to remind Alabama about that moment. This is Vince Sanders, and he goes for about 7.5 yards there on the reception. Saban said he doesn't want this to be one of those "I told you so" games. So he got out in front of it, Matt, and reminded his players all week of what happened to Tebow in Florida when they overlooked Ole Miss 4 years ago.
You know, Thursday night I had a chance to do a show with Coach Saban, and he was reminding the fans the same thing. He did not want it to be "I told you so" moment, and he urged all the fans to be as rowdy and vociferous as possible.
Jamez Logan with the reception there, but he lost his footing. So we'll leave it as a 3rd and 2. Bo Wallace quickly this time gets it to Jamez Logan.
Now,
and it'll be a first down for Ole Miss.
Tess, this is exactly what Hugh Freeze was talking about as he went off the field when he talked to Jess. He was saying, listen, don't get greedy. There are plays to be made. Don't try to be a hero all at once. Move the change, move the ball, and this is what he was talking about. Take the underneath throws when they're there.
And Jeff Scott trying to get it out close to the 40-yard line. Trying to manage down and distance a little bit, not get themselves in a tough 3rd down spot as they hurry up. This offense is 2nd and 7. Hugh Freeze, first-year head coach. That hurry-up offense, he's had success with it in the past. Arkansas State was in rhythm last year. That is batted down by Vinny Sunseri.
Told you before, good player. Good player. They play him as a safety. You know, he's a linebacker in high school, and he has linebacker tendencies. And so he likes to get his eyes in the backfield sometimes. It doesn't always serve him well, but great timing, great instincts.
3rd and 7. Wallace pressure and ripped down that time. That was Ed Stinson bringing Bo Wallace down to the ground.
Wallace is going to have to feel this, and the ball's going to have to come out quick. He's just looking to half the field read, and they're right in his face. You can see Hubbard drops off right there. They're going to run an little angle route back up inside, but Stinson 49. Big play.
Jim Broadway on to punt. Ole Miss unable to do much on their first possession here. D. Hart on the return from the 20-yard line. And D. Hart finds some room and then is brought down at the 42-yard line. That Bama defense, you know, all those NFL draft choices, guys off to the pro, but Stinson and company showing what they're made of this season. For Matt Millen, Jessica Mendoza here at the Capstone, University of Alabama. At halftime, the women's gymnastics team was recognized here. Alabama edged #1 seed Florida to win its 2nd consecutive NCAA Women's Gymnastics Championship.
It's the great Hal Moore.
Yep, Hal Moore, the athletic director, sending out the congratulations to see the success that Moore's athletic department has been enjoying. Softball, women's golf, gymnastics all won national titles. Of course, we know what football's been able to do. A.J. McCarron steps up, and that was off the mark as Trey Elston made a good play on that ball intended for Michael Williams. Jess?
Well, yeah, Joe, I went out to Alabama softball yesterday and actually talked to the team. They were so excited, obviously, coming off that championship. But their big thing is the fact that winning that second one, that first one was the first one for this whole entire conference. Really a big deal, but it was fun to go out there and see their rings.
Of course, you had as much success as anybody, Jess, could have in that sport. Glad to have you with us here tonight in Tuscaloosa. There was a miscommunication that time, and McCarron will just dive towards the line of scrimmage as Lacey and McCarron had their paths crossed.
Saw Mal Moore earlier. Mal was the offensive coordinator back in that '79 Sugar Bowl.
79 Sugar Bowl that you would know a thing or two about.
That they won the national championship on. And of course, he reminded me of that the other day.
Penn State and Alabama. One of the classic games in the history of this sport. 3rd and 12 now for McCarron.
Great protection.
And that was low, but Kevin Norwood made a play on it, and it goes incomplete. Now, Nick Saban said, we're not in control of this game. I don't think he's going to like that to open up the second half.
I love Nick Saban and the way he coaches, because when you watch this team, you can see his fingerprints all over it. And what you see is great football fundamentals on both sides of the ball. It starts with stances. They come off the ball low. There's great discipline. There's integrity of scheme. You can see the coaching in his team.
Tony Mandel's punt. Philander Moore from the 20-yard line spins free. Nice move by Moore to get to the 30. Alabama up 20. Grand history here. There is that Sugar Bowl trophy, Matt, that you were trying to take away from Bear Bryant, but he claimed it, and it sits a block away.
ESPN College Football Finale, brought to you by Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1 with S Pen. Note the new way.
Some of the best tailgating in the country right here in Tuscaloosa. They had the tents out. Good thing it was raining earlier, and the skies cleared a bit, and then things cleared up for Alabama in the first half as they were trailing 7-6 before exploding on Ole Miss, and now enjoying a 27-7 lead here in the second half. Bo Wallace out of the shotgun, a little pressure off the edge. They pick it up, and Wallace is able to get it complete that time to Vince Sanders. Gain of 7 yards.
When they can clear up the read for Bo Wallace, he can be pretty accurate with the ball. When there's a lot of mess in front of him, he struggled a little bit.
Delay handoff, and that is Jeff Scott finding nowhere to go as Quentin Dial made the tackle.
Big Quentin Dial's another guy in there. He can play inside, he plays outside. Big man.
6'6", 304, and he can play on the outside with a lot of success.
He does a really good job. He's got nice long arms, and he'll get into an offensive lineman and then get that good separation with those long arms.
Third and 5. 4 for 9 tonight. Third down conversions. Bama brings 4. Wallace, nice catch that time by Jamez Logan as he crosses midfield, and it's a first down for the Rebels.
Again, things are pretty clear in front of him, and he has Jamez running a crossing route, which takes a little bit of time to develop.
Quick snap now as Bama was running defensive players onto the field, and Wallace quickly got it out to Philander Moore, but just a gain of maybe a yard there.
And you're not gonna surprise D. Milner. Milner's the guy who's on top of his game out there. Now Brunetti comes into the game as the runner, but that Milner's been on top of his game all night long.
Brunetti comes in at quarterback. He started his career at West Virginia, but there was a guy there named Geno Smith, so he decided to transfer.
Not too bad.
Jeff Scott looking to get the edge, and Jeff Scott with a burst. That's going to be about 1.5 yards short of the line to make to the 41-yard line.
Did you see Moncrief up top? Their best receiver was also a very good blocker.
He's 6'3", 216.
That's a good looking
so he
kid.
can get involved in the run game. 3rd and 2. And here is Brunetti, and Brunetti tries to spin his way to pick up that first down. That was C.J. Mosley coming in and filling that hole. One of the star linebackers for the Crimson Tide.
CJ, not a real big guy, more of an athletic guy. He really benefits from the people who are down in front of him. He has a very good feel, and he's very athletic. So in the pass game, he does extremely well. In the run game, if he has to just come downhill, he's not that guy.
I'm going to pull that chain, and they're going to be about 3 to 4 lengths short.
Yeah, you better go for it. Now, when you watch, I was talking about a well-coached team. Where it really shows up is in the front 7 of this Alabama defense. They have great discipline. They maintain the integrity of the scheme extremely well. Everybody does their job well. Very rarely do they make mistakes.
4th and inches. Two tights stacked to the right of this formation. And Scott, it's going to be close. That was Jesse Williams, the nose guard, who penetrated there and wrapped up Jeff Scott. It is going to be very close here, depending on the mark.
I'd say Jesse Williams is one of the strongest guys in the team, and you can see why. He gets off the ball. He's short. He just gets off the ball with power.
Now Jesse Williams from Australia bench pressed 600 pounds in the offseason. And he said to the strength trainer, I could have done more.
Oh, he got it.
He got it. Just the nose of the ball. Cresting over that line. Kirby Smart, the defensive coordinator. Longtime Nick Saban coordinator. A lot of people dismiss the role that Smart plays, misunderstanding that it's Saban's defense and he calls the plays, but Kirby out there directing traffic and calling the plays. SEC's top-ranked scoring defense. Brunetti now going to change course and still nowhere to go as he is finally taken down by Clinton Dix.
You know what was good about that play? You could see when he redirected, the entire defense redirected, and 6 more shirts showed up.
Bo Wallace comes back in, replacing Barry Brunetti. 3 different quarterbacks we've seen behind center for Ole Miss. And Jesse Williams gets up and bats that ball down.
Jesse Williams is not one of those guys that's real flashy. You can see him number 54. He's right up top here. He's not one of those guys who's real flashy, but just has great awareness like you saw right there and has good power on the inside. Knows his role, plays his role.
3rd and 10. Wallace ball is deflected and then caught by Vince Sanders. You saw Xavier Dixon get into the face of Bo Wallace and alter that pass, and Sanders just happened to be there.
They've had a little bit of success. Oh, that's a great job of staying with that on crossing routes.
Here's a 4th and 4. No hesitation by Ole Miss, just getting right up over the ball, setting up for a 4th and 4, and now Wallace looks over to Dan Werner and Coach Hugh Freeze, and they will use a timeout. Flag is down on the near side, so we will check on that.
They're picking it up.
Penn Wagers, the referee of this SEC crew.
Timeout, Ole Miss. First timeout of the half. There is no foul on the play. Disregard the flag.
So a timeout here, facing a 4th down. Let's check in with Reese.
Joe, SportsCenter right now brought to you by Discover. Texas and Oklahoma State. Joe Bergeron with less than half a minute to go plunges into the end zone, and the Longhorns go into Stillwater and knock off the Cowboys 40-36 in a wild Big 12 game. And on the subject of wild Big 12 games, all pale in comparison to West Virginia and Baylor. Geno Smith, 656 yards, 8 touchdowns. That tied a Big 12 record. 70-63 West Virginia over Baylor. It was SportsCenter right now, presented by Discover.
How about David Ash? Thanks, Reese. David Ash for Texas. Reese talked about the drama in that game. 30-37 for 304 yards tonight against Oklahoma State. Longhorns fans have been waiting for David Ash to have that moment that says he's arrived, that he's a leader, he's capable of bringing this team with all that talent on defense to the next level. Here's 4th and 4 now. Wallace to pass, and he gets it to Scott for a 1st down in a play that had to develop the right way, and when it did, things opened up for Jeff Scott.
They just snuck him into the flat, and Wallace was able to get there because there was no pressure off the edge.
Good job by Ole Miss coming right out of that timeout into the formation and pulling that off. Jeff Scott now for a gain of 3 yards. Let's check in with Jessica.
Well, Joe, this Ole Miss sideline, Hugh Freeze told me that before the game they were so excited to play in front of this environment. And I'll tell you what, every time this crowd gets loud, they look around and they're feeding off of it. They're not letting it intimidate them.
That's good for them because they got a roster filled with guys that are playing JUCO last year, including the quarterback, Bo Wallace, who just hit Dante Moncrief, but it goes incomplete. I mean, this is one of the best settings in all of college football. You know, pack in 101,000 in here, and you're playing #1 and defending champs, and of course a team that has struggled mightily through the years against Alabama. Bama's won 8 straight against Ole Miss. 3rd and 7 now. Converted to 4th down, but now facing a 3rd and 7. Getting it is Randall Mackey, as Wallace took what was given to him and found Mackey, who scooted ahead to move the chains.
I go back to what Hugh Freeze told Jessica at the half. Don't get greedy. Just take what's there. That time Mackey just comes on a swing, and the inside backer didn't get out there in time, and it's a 1st down.
And on the slant this time, it's incomplete, as he was trying to find Moncrief, but he was covered by the ultra-talented D. Milner.
Better throw would have had him. He had inside position on D. Milner. They waited for the backer to clear, which he did. They swung him to the outside. Now watch, get inside position. Now a better throw into the body, and he's got a catch. But Milner right on the coverage.
And then came down with that right hand, broke that pass up. 2nd and 10 now. Scott flanking Wallace as they set up at the 12-yard line. Play clock is now under 5 as he's directing traffic, and he's going to have to burn a timeout. That'll be their 2nd timeout on this drive alone. Ole Miss trying to cut into the lead, trailing Bama by 20.
Bo Wallace sees Clinton Dix up top, and he's going to drop down, and what that does is it shows that they're going to be in pure man coverage, and so he's going to look to the sideline to get the play from the sideline so they could counter that. And in the confusion and all that, they take too much time and they have to go ahead and call a timeout. Alabama has been doing a great job at the line of scrimmage of showing one thing and then doing another, and that slows the pace just a tad.
2nd and 10 now. Randall Mackey with room, and Mackey, touchdown, Ole That was a great effort at the end of that run by Randall Mackey.
And a great effort on the outside of the receivers blocking as well. They've been getting good blocking down the field. On Milner, that's Moncrief. And Mackey with the great effort like you mentioned.
Bryson Rose with a PAT. We got ourselves just a 13-point margin. Nick Saban was saying we're not controlling this game yet. Perhaps he was right. The 16-play drive converted a couple of fourth downs with a Randall Mackey 12-yard touchdown run. Of course, we invite you to use the Watch ESPN app for all the college football action. You can download it at the App Store. Sit back on a Saturday, no matter where you are. All the college football action available to you.
So Tess, the defense that had only given up 21 points, 3 touchdowns all season long. This Ole Miss team's hung two of them on them so far.
And now Bryson Rose on to kickoff. That's the place kicker, not the normal kickoff kicker. So let's watch for a pooch or maybe a little surprise onside. Instead, he just nails it. And this is Christian Jones, who had the 99-yard return earlier, and this time he is taken down right near the 20-yard line. That was Joel Kite with the special teams tackle. So that Alabama defense giving up a couple of touchdowns. Coming into tonight, they only gave up 3. Points allowed, they were averaging just 5.3. They had that long stretch of scoreless quarters. That was snapped by FAU, scoring late in the fourth quarter. They're trying to become the first BCS era team to have 3 straight shutouts a week ago, and now giving up 14 points here halfway through the third. TJ Yeldon. And Yeldon pushes Barrett Jones ahead out to the 25-yard line.
Yeah, there's another guy we haven't talked about him all night tonight. Barrett Jones is only the returning Outland Trophy winner from a year ago. Very, very bright. He's a center. He can play any position on the offensive line. He's probably best served as a center. When I say bright, he's one of those guys who calls everything on the line of scrimmage, and a lot of times in practice, you can see him directing there. He and the quarterback getting a bunch of arguments over what they want to do.
Yeldon stays in on 2nd and 6, picks up the pressure. McCarron now, that's a fumble. Live ball, and McCarron got it back. But Denzel Kimdichie came in swiping away at the arm of A.J. McCarron.
And you mentioned it on the top. Kimdichie comes off the edge. And you're going to watch the block right there. Now that's not a big man. I got to tell you, he's about 195 to 200 pounds. And that's just a great effort by Kimdichie.
Hugh Freeze says, man, that was a golden opportunity. That ball sitting there on the grass. So now a 3rd and 16. McCarron. He's just going to launch this out of bounds as the pressure was coming from C.J. Johnson.
This is what I was talking about before, Tess. If you can put the game on McCarron's shoulders and make him have to be their offense, this Alabama team will struggle. They need their running game to be able to set him up. I don't believe he can carry it all by himself.
Bama offense in this second half. A couple of possessions. 2 3-and-outs now. Cody Mandel on to punt. Philander Moore to receive and potentially give Ole Miss very good field position here. And this is going to sail out of bounds on the near side. And they're marking this close to the 44-yard line. Reminder, coverage of Monday Night Football continues 6:30 Eastern. Monday Night Countdown is served by Applebee's. Then 8:30, Jay Cutler and the Bears, Tony Romo and the Cowboys. Monday Night Football, Bears-Cowboys, 8:30 Eastern on ESPN.
Both those quarterbacks, when they're on, they're really good. But more importantly are their defenses. When that Chicago Bears, that defense is on and they're rushing the passer, they're as good as there is out there.
Right now the challenge is the Bama defense for Bo Wallace. 13-point margin against the #1 team in the country. The JUCO transfer Bo Wallace won a junior college title a year ago and now the starter at Ole Miss. They're getting after him and they just buried him. That was Nick Perry who took down Bo Wallace.
Bo Wallace had absolutely zero clue that he was coming, and that's very poorly done. Nick Perry shows right from the start. You have to have this kind of awareness.
Patrick Drunan got beat there by Perry, and Wallace paid the price. 2nd and 17. Trying to escape a little more pressure and extend the play. And he just throws it away as big Jesse Williams was hunting him down.
He had time to be able to find a guy and couldn't find him. And so what that speaks of is good coverage down the field. We've talked to you about Blue, we've talked to you about Milner, but there's some other guys out there that are pretty darn good. Nick Perry, you just saw with the sack. Robert Lester, 37. Clinton Dix, that's a good secondary.
Of course, Drake Kirkpatrick, Quan Menzie off to the NFL, but so much talent remains here at Alabama. 3rd and 17. They send 4. And that is incomplete. Going up for it was Vince Sanders looking for the flag. He was covered by Clinton Dix and John Fulton.
Yeah, they were all over him. Clinton Dix came over the top. These safeties do as good a job as I have seen in this young season of just staying on top of coverage. He sees everything. Sanders is going to try to come down. You see how the corner stayed underneath, and Clinton Dix comes over the top just like you should draw it up.
Almost got to that punt by Jim Broadway, and Dehart let it sail away.
Shanked again.
Broadway's had a rough night of it. Defense did their job. Celebrating its 8th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. And today at Allstate has contributed more than $2.8 million in those scholarship monies. Nick Saban wants to see some productivity out of this offense. They are yet to engage in the second half as the Bama offense. Eddie Lacy trying to solve that, but nothing doing that time, as Isaac Gross was the first to get there. And then Denzel Kemdichi finished it.
Isaac Gross is a 250-pound interior lineman with great quickness. And the only time that he makes big plays, he's just a freshman. I mean, he's a true freshman. The only time he makes big plays is when he can get clean inside. But he's got a great motor.
254, and he's playing nose tackle in the SEC. Was a high school All-American, Defensive Player of the Year, Class 6A in Mississippi. 2nd and 13 now. McCarron tried to escape it, and he does. He's going to tuck it and run it and slide down.
It's like he didn't get a flag right there from Mike Murray, 52.
Mike Murray was coming in pursuing McCarron, and you hear the reaction from the crowd here at Bryant-Denny.
Yeah, he's going to give himself up right here. This is a give-up position. Now, he did it late. And Murray comes over. I mean, didn't really hit him, but kind of late on him.
3rd down and 6. Gets it complete inside the 40-yard line to Christian Jones. So a first down, Alabama.
Hendrick Collins, the corner, is on the back shoulder. And he gets inside position in man-to-man. Christian Jones just does a nice job of getting the defender on his top shoulder. And McCarron makes the nice throw.
Delayed blitz here. McCarron taking a shot downfield and batted away at the last possible moment by Senquez Golson.
Golson was beat, but he didn't quit on it. Callaway had 2 steps on him. Look at this at the back. Now watch how he finishes. That is really well done.
A little bit of redemption for Golson. Remember, he was the player who was juked out of his shoes last year in that famous Trent Richardson touchdown run that we showed you earlier. Second and 10. Lacey remains in the backfield with McCarron. Running out of that pistol formation. He drives the legs ahead to the 35-yard line where it'll be 3rd and 6. Trey Elston with the tackle. The big Eddie Lacy. Hugh Freeze hoping his defense can get a stop here. They played well in this 3rd quarter, a quarter in which Alabama yet to score, and they have scored in 33 straight quarters prior to this. Coming up on just a minute left in the 3rd.
As Dave Womack, their defensive coordinator, he's been rolling the dice here. He's been bringing some blitzes and taking chances in coverage outside.
Pick up the pressure this time. And coming across is Kenny Bell, and Kenny Bell will have a first down for Alabama.
Alabama's been having a lot of success with crossing routes underneath. Crossing routes, you're able to utilize your speed. As you look at defensive coordinator Dave Womack, you can use your speed a lot of ways. You can go vertical, you can also run across. And anytime you're in man coverage and you can get a crossing route like they had there, you utilize your speed.
You know, Womack was very honest with us the other day. He said physically this is a complete mismatch. He's tried to coach up his group, having moments of success against Bama. Now Lacey. And Lacey is ridden down at the 25-yard line by Kim Dichie.
Kim Dichie's playing himself a pretty darn good football game. Not a real big guy, but he's been throwing himself around pretty well.
First time Alabama hasn't scored in 34 quarters. Ole Miss played some tough ball there in the 3rd, trailing by 13. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Joe Tessitore, Matt Millen, Jessica Mendoza with you here in T-Town. Alabama and Ole Miss going at it here to start the 4th. Earlier, South Carolina came back against Kentucky. They got their showdown game with Georgia next week, and College Game Day will be down there in Columbia, South Carolina. LSU got off to a slow start, and Texas A&M just throttles Arkansas today.
Good to see Marcus Lattimore. Looks like he's all the way back.
It's going to be a great one next week down in Kakalaki. Here, Alabama only up 13 as A.J. McCarron was looking for a block from Kelly Johnson. Alabama won their last 7 games by at least 21 points. When we heard Nick Saban at the half tell our Jessica Mendoza, hey, we are not in control of this game. And he wanted to see that change. But in that 3rd quarter, his offense was very choppy. And Ole Miss had some opportunities. They had the one long drive. They had opportunities defensively. And they played up. Now facing a 3rd and 4 is the tie.
Watch the crossing routes underneath. That's what they've been living off of this whole game.
McCarron. He gets it complete for a first down to Kenny Bell. Pressure came in late, and McCarron had time to find Bell.
Bell's smart, knows where the sticks are, and just sits down after him. And because there's not the pressure like you talked about, McCarron's able to make the throw.
It looked like on that play that the left tackle Cyrus Kwanjo lost his helmet. Of course, the new rule, emphasis on safety. You got to come out of the game for the next play. So Kellen Williams comes in to play left tackle here. First down, 14-yard line. Here's Eddie Lacy. Lacy, what a nice little stop move there. Waited patiently and then got to the 10-yard line.
They had it. That shows you a good example of the kind of power he has when he runs. He ran right through a tackle. They had an opportunity to be able to stop him for no gain, and he was able to just power his way through to pick up about 5.
Second down and 6. They can get a first down just short of the 4-yard line. Lacy stays in as the feature back.
Kwanjo's back in at left tackle. Unbalanced lineman.
And Lacy just gets a couple of yards. They went 2 tights and then the H-back in Kelly Johnson.
They shifted Fluker over to left, right tackle to left tackle, and then put Kwanjo right next to him. And Pruitt has another good tackle, good physical tackle, and sets up this third down.
Cody Pruitt's had a heck of a game. Dave Womack, defensive coordinator for Ole Miss. He said, hey, we're going up against one of the top 3 offensive lines I've ever seen in all my years of coaching. His group undersized but showing movement, trying to handle it as best they can. Now a 3rd and 4 for Alabama. McCarron, corner of the end zone, and that is batted away. Christian Jones was waiting for the ball, but Wesley Pendleton took care of it.
Pendleton does a nice job. He's the outside corner, and he sinks to get depth. Really, Tess should have had a pick. Should have had himself a pick and end this drive. Just a really well done job of sinking and getting depth. Like you said, Jones is in the back waiting for the ball, but not a well thrown ball by McCarron.
Jeremy Shelley on. This attempt from 26. He's 2 for 2. Both were made from 38 yards. And a good technique by Shelley, and he easily puts it through. 30-14. Hugh Freeze happy his defense didn't give up the 7. Tied up 30-14 here. Alabama on top of Ole Miss. Remember a couple weeks ago, Ole Miss lost to Texas 66-31. Playing a little more spirited defense against the Tide.
Yeah, I'm going to show you why. They're going to build the wall to the outside. You have outside, inside, high. Elston's inside. He needs to get over the top. And Pendleton does a really nice job. Once his guy clears and goes inside, you climb and get up high. It's a wasted opportunity. He had a chance to be able to take that thing and get no points out of it, but instead they just get 3. That's good defense. Joe, what a big difference in this team. They have gotten better from the beginning of the season to now. You can see the difference.
Walton's going to get a chance on a return here. And he makes it just to the 15-yard line.
Well, it's been Ole Miss's defense here in the second half has come out ready to play. And they've been able to cover. They've been able to get pressure. Kendichi right here forces a fumble. They've been playing good football. In fact, they didn't give up a score through the whole 3rd quarter. At the start of the 4th, they got their 3. But like I mentioned earlier, you can tell a big difference in this Ole Miss team as opposed to the beginning of the season.
You know, when we talked to their coaches this week, Matt, they were saying, you know, we just want our guys to stay with the next play, to stay on track, to handle disappointment well. Randall Mackey now playing quarterback. Remember, he threw an interception earlier tonight. He uses the block there. Plays running back for the team. Also had a little stint at receiver in the spring. Now, he was the starting quarterback for 6 games last year. So we've seen Bo Wallace, the starting quarterback, the JUCO transfer. That guy, Barry Brunetti, the transfer from West Virginia, who's more of the runner, and now guy who's one of the starting running backs, along with this guy, Jeff Scott, playing quarterback, as Scott is going to be just about a half yard short of that first down line.
I've been impressed with Scott here tonight. Jeff Scott's, he's a gritty little player. He's got good toughness. He runs between the tackles way better than you thought he would. Like right there.
And he does it there. You know, USA Today had high expectations for Scott. They named him preseason All-SEC choice at running back. Well, small but very talented.
Yeah, he's got really good feet in the hole. Catches the ball well out of the backfield. He's got some toughness like you've seen. Not a big guy, but boy, he's competitive.
First down at the 29. Mackey on a design quarterback run, and he gets room, had the guard pulling, and he takes advantage out to the 49-yard line before Robert Lester found him.
Did a nice job of securing the edge, and then, like you mentioned, the guard came out and was able to get force, and once you got your force, you're off to the races.
20-yard run, and now it's Jeff Scott's turn, and he crosses midfield. So quickly, Ole Miss into Alabama territory. Tackled that time by Trey DePriest.
They're moving the football on. Whatever Taco Bell is, it's working.
Second and 7. Mackey. He escapes somehow. But not that, as Vinny Sinceri got to him.
Well, he's able to buy time on the front end. He gets Sinceri. Now watch Sinceri not quit on the play. Get back up, get Chase, and then make the tackle. So there's one thing about getting beat once, but that's a great job of Sinceri of staying with it.
Good effort play.
Bo Wallace back in.
3rd and 11. Obvious passing situation for Ole Miss, so they go back to Bo Wallace. Bama only brings 4 as he's being pursued, and he is taken down that time by Adrian Hubbard.
If he doesn't see the first read, he has a lot of problems. So it's clear right now with this Ole Miss offense, they don't really have the quarterback that they want. What they're doing is they're bringing the runner in to run. They're bringing an athlete in to make other plays, and when they need a thrower, Wallace can't get the job done.
So D. Hart comes back on to retrieve the Jim Broadway punt. D. Hart from the 25, and that's where Alabama will take over.
I hope he's not hurt. Looks like
he's grabbing his knee. You know, he did twist awkwardly when he fielded that punt and went straight to the ground as they help him up.
I hate to see that.
He just spun down after fielding the punt, and now the medical staff of Alabama is out to take a look at D. Hart. .848 remaining. Take a look. 30-14 Bama. You see that knee twist in.
ESPN College Football Finale, brought to you by Kingsford Tailgate Rivalries. Vote at ESPN.com/Kingsford.
A year ago, Alabama feasted like that guy's doing on Ole Miss 52-7. different story here in Tuscaloosa tonight. Alabama back on offense, up 16. And flag comes in there. Some motion up front.
False start, 83, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
I think Coach Saban's going to have a few things to say.
Oh, yeah.
Come tomorrow.
And he's going to find something anyway, but he's huge on taking care of the little things. Take care of the details.
Eddie Lacy trying to fight his way out to the 25-yard line. Of course, Alabama sits on top of the AP rankings. Let's look at the top 10 today. Kind of a strange day of college football. A couple things you shake your head at, and then that West Virginia score where there was no defense and plenty of Geno Smith with 8 touchdowns, 656 yards. And number 2, kind of sleepwalking through the first half, Oregon, against a seemingly overmatched Washington State team who's playing good ball against them tonight.
Same style offense that Ole Miss has.
Look at Eddie Lacy. And Lacy all the way out to the 47-yard line as Barrett Jones and Anthony Steen watch the center and the right guard just get out in front, pave the way for Eddie Lacy.
And then it's just about runners' patience. Let their guys get into it, and then let your eyes take you where you have to go. Eddie Lacy's a big physical man. A good guy. We saw him yesterday afternoon. We were sitting there watching tape, and he came in to get a couple of his Reese's Pieces on us. I hate to tell
I was so happy when he uncovered that bag of candy, and I think we owe him a bag of candy at this point, don't
send him some.
A.J. McCarron going across the middle, and low and behind Amari Cooper, who had a big first half tonight with 2 touchdown receptions.
They've had great success with him crossing the formations here tonight on those crossing routes.
Yes, 2nd and 10. Cooper went from that big first half to not having a reception here in the second half. T.J. Yeldon is the lone back here on 2nd and 10, and he takes the pitch. And picks up a block that time. The kick out by Kelly Johnson as he was tackled by Channing Ward.
Channing Ward, as you see D. Hart leaving the field, they checked that knee earlier. Channing Ward made that tackle, but Kimdichie made the play. He forced it back inside where Ward could come up with the tackle.
Denzel Kimdichie's had a good night. Told you he's the big brother of Robert Kimdichie, who is right now everybody in the SEC's target. A verbal commitment to Clemson, and #1 overall recruit in the country. 3rd and 7 with McCarron working out of the gun here. They bring some pressure. It gets picked up, and there he goes to Amari Cooper.
You know what I like about Cooper? He's not afraid to go inside. When you go inside the mesh, you know, that's where those safeties are. An occasional backer gets some depth. So you're going to get whacked around. But Amari Cooper, just after you said he didn't have any catches, comes up by going back down inside.
15 yards on that 3rd and 6.
Saw Pruitt sitting inside. He's clapping his hands. He should have had a little bit more depth, and he would have been able to get a shot on. That kid's going to be a star. That Cooper.
T.J. Yeldon, and he is cut down that time. As you saw Serdarius Bryant come up and make the play against the talented freshman T.J. Yeldon.
That got a little message on his little about grandma on the back of his pad there.
Jess, what do you have for us?
Well, Joe, D. Hart getting looked at in the sidelines just a moment ago, and he talked with his trainers and doctors. They're looking at that right knee, and after he spoke with them, he started to get very emotional. Obviously not looking good. He just went in the locker room.
Yeah, he was quite upset, Jess, after that punt return where he just fell to the ground after twisting that right knee. Eddie Lacy on 2nd and 10, trying to pick his spot there. And he drives ahead to the 28-yard line.
They had a chance to get to the edge of that, but Wingham turned it back inside. And if he doesn't do that, Eddie Lacy's off to the races. Sometimes you don't make the tackle, but you make the play. Wingham made the play that time.
3rd and 5 now. There's the night for Eddie Lacy. Ole Miss to this point outscoring Bama 7-3 in the second half of this game. McCarron, Amari Cooper, and another first down for Alabama, thanks to their true freshman receiver.
He makes all of his noise inside. It's even more impressive. Now he can get outside. He has the speed to be able to get on top of you. But he goes inside in the paint in there, and he's pretty good.
Now a drive that's taken up a lot of time here as we're coming up on the 4-minute mark. And a first down at the 12-yard line. Lacy, can he bounce it to the outside? A spin move that time just gained him an extra couple yards, and then he was tackled by Golson.
And Pruitt, another one by Pruitt.
Reminder, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Dover, presented by GoDaddy.com. Coverage begins Sunday at 1 Eastern on ESPN. It's the Monster Mile down at Dover. I've been down there, Matt, not far away from you, just down the road in Delaware. Big place. Like an SEC type stadium effect, the Monster Mile, some of the best NASCAR action you'll see all year. 2nd and 7 here. And here's Lacy, but he is tracked down for a loss that time. That was good pursuit by Gilbert Pena, Jones, and the rest of them.
Jones is in there, and big old Pena, like you talked about. Jason Jones got himself a nice play. Oh, that's really well done by Jason Jones. I mean, that's as good as it gets.
Now, Jones wears that number 38 jersey at Ole Miss. He is the recipient of the Chucky Mullins Courage Award. Of course, Mullins, an inspiration at Ole Miss, player who was paralyzed back in 1989, continued on with his studies before passing away a couple years later. He's honored to wear that number 38. Yeldon, TJ Yeldon, pushing his way to the 6-yard line as they continue to bring that clock down.
Alabama, nothing flashy. They just let this offensive line just keep on working on you. And like we talked about before with this defense, they're giving you movement, and it'll be kind of feast or famine. Sometimes you're going to get a play, they're going to get a play against you, and sometimes you're going to get one on them. And going into this game, Nick Saban knew that, and that's what he was preaching to his offense. You're just going to have to be patient with them, but just keep pressing the line of scrimmage.
And they're going to call a timeout here and take as much time off the clock before this 4th down. Number 1 team in the country, just looking to close things up here. Jesse Williams, the intimidating nose guard of the defense right now. It's the offense on the field on a 4th down. SEC on ESPN. Here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama up 30-14 against a pretty feisty Ole Miss team that's played some decent football here in the second half against Bama. To this point, they've outscored Bama 7-3 in the second half, as A.J. McCarron is going to use a timeout.
Well, it's clear a couple things. It's clear that Ole Miss is a much better football team now than when they started the season. They'll continue to get better. but they also they got to get a quarterback who can run this offense well.
Freeze has coached them up. Following our duties here in Tuscaloosa, Sports Center is coming up. They will recap Geno Smith's huge day. And all that chatter already. You know, it's a huge day when Sports Center calls me up. We say we need some historical Heisman perspective. It's September, folks. Yes, he's out in front. He was impressive. It's September. The Heisman is not won in September. Jeremy Shelley, 6 for 6 on the year, 3 for 3 tonight. This from 24. And Alabama makes it 33-14. MetLife getting it done as we focus in on Amari Cooper.
And he did get it done here tonight, and he did it all game long. He had some big catches in the first half, a couple of touchdowns. This one's just sick. And then in the second half, just when we start to say it was quiet in the second half, he picked up a couple more and just had himself a really nice game here tonight. And let me just tell you something, folks. Amari Cooper is here to stay. You're gonna have to remember that name, because this kid is going to be the next big thing for this receiving corps down here in Alabama.
Of course, Julio Jones in recent years, and you can see Amari Cooper is trending. The people want to know about him. People say the next great one at Alabama. Just a true freshman from Miami. A couple touchdowns tonight. Coaching staff here is quick to say, listen, perhaps the most talented out of this group. Marquise Mays, Darius Hanks a year ago. They were looking for who that guy would be. Kevin Norwood has experience, the junior. Saw Christian Jones and his ability tonight. He's got speed, had the kickoff return for a touchdown. But Amari Cooper, a guy who may have the complete package.
Oh, yeah. He has what you can't coach. And when you have that, you got a real live one. That is one good-looking rascal right there.
So you know about the offensive line, considered the best in college football. You know about the steadiness of A.J. McCarron and the deep backfield with Lacey and Yeldon. And now Amari Cooper starting to emerge out on the perimeter. Of course, Monday Night Football coming your way. And it starts with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's. That's at 6:30 Eastern, then 8:30. Bears, Cowboys, Monday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern on ESPN. Big Cutler, Tony Romo. Cutler made some headlines recently about his attitude with the teammates. But when he's on, he's on.
Oh, and he's good. And so is Romo. I think Romo's been having a very good year. But again, like I mentioned earlier, that game's going to come down to which defense plays well.
Barry Brunetti looking to finish up this game as the quarterback for Ole Miss, and he gets it complete that time to Collins Moore.
Tess, I talked a little bit earlier about them just having to get a quarterback as a Alabama defender is down right now. But keep in mind, to give you a little perspective, this is Hugh Freeze's, this is only their 4th game. And it takes a while for an offense and for players to adapt to coaches and into systems. So they're still learning. They're still in learning mode right here. Now, I have a feeling that Hugh Freeze will do a good job with the talent that he has, and I believe that these quarterbacks that they have will find their respective roles, and they'll get comfortable in those roles.
You spent a lot of time with Nick Saban this week and in the coach's office at Alabama. Now you get to see them up close after just spending time with Oregon. So within a 7-day period, you see #1 and #2 in the country. Was Alabama what you expected?
Yeah, the answer absolutely yes, because what they are is extremely well coached. They do not make a lot of mistakes. That's not to say that you can't get plays on them. There are plays there to be made on them, but you've got to be good to do it.
Saw Ed Stinson, their fine defensive end, taken off the field. Jalen Walton. The clock counts down. Final minute here in Tuscaloosa.
The one thing this Alabama defense doesn't have is a great pass rusher. And they don't have, they're very strong inside. And at times you can get the edge. You can get the edge on them. Remember a year ago, you had Hightower and those guys, you could not get the edge on them whatsoever.
is Itavius Mathers here on the carry.
But having said that, I think this team will always be fundamentally sound. They won't hurt themselves. They won't beat themselves. You're going to have to come in here, if you're going to play them in here in Alabama, down in Tuscaloosa, they're going to be a tough team to beat because this defense, they make you make the plays. They're not going to beat themselves.
Got a pretty capable Mississippi State team coming here on October 27th. They got a bye week next week. They visit the SEC newbies Mizzou up in Columbia. Mizzou now starting to struggle just a bit. Tennessee, you know what they can do offensively. And then the showdown on November 3rd against LSU on the road. Well, Ole Miss outscored Bama in the second half, 7-6. Final scores 33-14. Been a great day at college football. Glad you were with us. Sports Center's coming up next. See the stories on the rundown. Alabama #1 with the win here in Tuscaloosa.